Hi everyone, for today's video we're going to look at the stock photography and footage websites and YouTube channels that helped me the most when I was growing my portfolio for a successful passive income in Microstock. Before we jump in, however, I'm an Australian photographer based in the Netherlands. My name's Andrew Balcom, and I've been doing stock photography and footage for around 3.5 years. I have a YouTube channel, as you've discovered, and on that channel you can see a number of videos about my tips and tricks for stock videography and photography, such as my video that I made of visiting 8 cities in one day. And also one is about doing stock photography with wildlife, for example. So if you think that's something that might be of interest to you, feel free to subscribe. Before I get into the stock sites and YouTube channels, I'll give you a little bit of a background about my motivation for going into Microstock. And the number one motivation was that I was finding it increasingly difficult to maintain the energy to seek out clients, and I found it cost me a lot of energy if I did get a client then to maintain the relationship to a level that both the client and myself are happy. I saw the opportunity in Microstock to upload images and footage and then just forget about it and let the agencies deal with the clients. Now, in order to capitalize on making the most money possible for Microstock photography and footage, I endlessly searched the internet for mentors and people who had information and knowledge that would make me a better photographer and videographer, and also a better Microstock contributor. And so today's video is just a list of the people who I've found inspiration with, both in the way that they are down to earth in delivering their information. They're genuinely nice people, but most importantly, they get down to the details of what you actually have to do to succeed in Microstock. So I'm going to share those sites and channels with you today. So welcome aboard and let's get into it. I'll go to my first favorite website for stock photography and footage, and that is Steve Heap's Backyard Silver. Steve is a veteran microstocker. He's been doing it since 2008. He's got a portfolio size of around 12,000 to 15,000 images. He's also got around 1,000 footage clips across more than a dozen agencies, including Shutterstock, Adobe, iStock, and a few also other boutique agencies that I don't have images on. So he really gets out across the board to give himself the best chance to make money out of his side hustle. Steve also earns around $2,700 to $3,200 US dollars a month on average. He also does something really interesting where he breaks down his earnings every month. So you can see exactly how much he earns, with which agencies he has the most success and also the least success, and also his best-selling images and clips. His website also goes into how he goes about making photos, his setup for indoor videography for products. Primarily he has the bulk of his portfolio from his travels around the world. So he'll go on a trip, say to China, and when he comes back he'll upload maybe 2,000 images and some footage clips from that trip. When he is not traveling, he'll do stuff in his local area, and also he will do product photography indoors, and also conceptual stuff like Bitcoin or what is trending at the moment. Steve is often harassed by me on his comments board, and he always takes the time to reply to me and give as full and honest answer as he can. And I've noticed that whenever someone has a problem and they contact him, he often does his best to try and help them. He's a great guy. He also provides for me an invaluable service, and that service is he gave me the discipline to regularly upload, create and keyword stock photos. He showed me other ways of making money, such as with stock footage, and how to do that. And he also has a great product, and that is his ebook, Backyard Silver. Now, I'm a bit of a tightwad. I don't make a lot of money to just spend on my own interests. Most of it goes in bills or the mortgage. So when I saw his ebook available for just a few dollars, I took a chance and bought it, downloaded it, and that ebook has paid itself back by the hundreds. Just the experience and knowledge that he shares in it, totally transparent and just really helpful. So I really recommend his ebook if you're just getting started. At the least, it will really motivate you to start and to keep going. Right, the second stock photography website that I regularly go to when I'm sitting on a train and I've got a few minutes to kill, and I just want to see what he's been up to lately, is Alex Rothenburg, and he has a website called Brutally Honest Guide to Microstock. Alex is a young millennial, so where Steve has the experience of years and years in the industry, Alex has been at it, I think, for about 5 years. I'm probably wrong, 5 or more years. He's a young guy and he's just full of go-get-'em energy, and he's also got a bit of attitude, which is really amusing to read sometime. So the brutally honest is also what he is, and just reading his comments and blogs is he doesn't pull any punches. So if he thinks something sucks or some agency sucks, he will put his neck out there and just say it. He is more of a travel photographer. He's based in Europe, whereas Steve is based in the US. He's an Englishman based in the US, and Alex is Brazilian based at the moment, I think, in Madrid. And he moves his base around different places in Europe for up to a year, and exploits those areas and makes travel photos and footage. He also does product photography, and he branches out and does work for clients as well. He shares everything that he does, and that includes his failures. He's full of energy. He tries different things, different concepts to see if they work, and they often don't work, but he puts it out there anyway. So it's all there for you to look at, study, take what you need and use what works for you. Alex has got a book as well, and it's also similar to Steve Heap's book, that it doesn't cost very much. But I bought it and I'm really happy that I did, because he's more in the moment. Steve is kind of based more on photography and he does a little bit of footage, whereas Alex goes where the money is. He doesn't have any sentimentality about photography. If it's more in footage, he'll make footage. He also has started doing a monthly income report, which has been really insightful and helpful. And I always look forward to reading Alex's turd of the month, and that's usually an agency that either he feels isn't giving good value to the contributors, or he just hasn't earned much with that agency. So Alex is Brutally Honest Guide to Microstock. That's a good one to look out for. Someone beeping their horn out in the street. And another one is a guy who's been around for a long time, and that's Michael J. Photograph Berlin, and his website is michaeljphoto.com. Lately he hasn't been uploading that much content, but there is a wealth of information on his stock site from his previous uploads which are really useful for stock photographers. Okay, now from blogs to vlogs, and what I really enjoy about the following sites is that they get into the detail of photography. And I come across videos all the time that have, I won't say they're clickbaity titles because I think factually they're true, but they'll say like, earn $2,000 a month in stock photography, or earn $5,000 a month with your photography. And I mean, that's great. They often tell you how they do that, but it's often in a very general term, and they don't get into the details like stages and steps that you actually have to go through personally and also physically to achieve earning that amount of information. So if I see a video saying earn $2,000 a month with stock photography, I'll check it out because you might learn something. But often at the end of that, I think, yeah, well, that doesn't really apply to me, or it's good to say those things, but how do you actually hands-on do it? And often these videos, they won't tell you how to do it. So the vlogs or the YouTube channels that I really like, they get into the detail of that kind of stuff. They're not pretentious, they're just down to earth, and they're often aimed at the beginner or someone who just needs to be guided more. And one of those is Nicole Glass's YouTube channel. And I really enjoy her honest approach in how to become successful in stock photography and footage. And her channel is quite new, so she also goes about telling what works for her on her channel and what doesn't work for her so far. And Nicole comes from a journalistic and editorial background, and she does a lot of events work as well and travel photography, and she's started getting into drone photography. And I found that interesting because I also come from a more photojournalistic background. I don't do a huge amount of lifestyle commercial type shoots. It's more everyday life, journalistic, political, out on the street editorial stuff. Yeah, so one of Nicole's videos which was really helpful and interesting was the strangest photos she's sold that have made money. So I really recommend checking that out. And she also goes into how do you actually make money out of Shutterstock, for example, or what are you doing wrong with your photography on Shutterstock, and how can that be improved so that you start making money. So she gets into the detail of it, and I find her channel really easy to follow and interesting and delivered in a really friendly, open and calm way. There's no pretentiousness about her. Right, another YouTube channel that I follow often is that of Zdenka Derula. And Zdenka is an ex-model. She's originally from the Czech Republic, but she's based in Canada. And I think her YouTube channel is about a year or a year and a half old, and a lot of her first stuff was based on stock photography. Being a former model, she does photography and footage based more on fashion and lifestyle shoots using models. But she also has a really strong product photography background, and she also has a lot of insights into what works with stock photography and footage and what doesn't. She is really growing her portfolio in the direction of lifestyle because the market is so saturated. She is focusing on a lot of model shoots that are released, that have to have signed releases, and she has determined that that segment of the market is not as saturated as the rest of the market. I think because there's a higher threshold with having to get models, having to get them to sign these release forms. So there's less competition, and I think also her experience helps her by delivering a high quality of content. She also goes a little bit into equipment, camera equipment, and I'm not so interested in that, but there's plenty on her website to help the budding stock photographer. Okay, so my next YouTube channel that I often visit is that of Crafted Shutter, and John, I think his name is a full-time stock videographer, and that's really interesting to me. He used to be a professional in the medical industry, and he gave that up. He supports his family of 2 kids and a wife totally from stock footage. I think he's been doing it for around 10 years or so, so he's got tons of experience. And he also goes into the nitty-gritty of stuff like how to find free video editing software. So if you can't afford the Adobe footage editing software, he goes into DaVinci Resolve and shows you all the tricks and tips for using that to edit your stock footage. And I do my stuff in Adobe Premiere, but if I hadn't started with that, I'd definitely go with DaVinci Resolve, which is free of charge. And this is not an ad for DaVinci Resolve either. So John goes into his monthly income reports, which are really interesting for a stock footage perspective. And he also goes into which of his stock footage clips work and sell regularly and which ones don't. So I find that really interesting. He's a bit of a talk to the camera kind of guy, so he doesn't get out into the field and vlog his jobs and what he does to create stock footage. So from that perspective, yeah, you have to give and take his videos a little bit because not all of them are as interesting as the others. But on the whole, I find his channel refreshing, and he's a very amenable kind of guy. He always responds to your comments, and he also is really open with what he thinks is happening with the industry and what's working and what isn't. We will go to the last YouTube channel, which is called Brendan Van Sun. And Brendan is a Canadian travel photographer, and he started years and years ago with a Canon 60D, and he decided to start a YouTube channel. He also used to do a daily vlog. So every night I would get behind my computer and chill out, and I look forward to seeing a video from Brendan's channel. And they're always interesting. He's a really funny guy. He's always motivated. He's cheerful, and his photography has grown with his channel. So the quality now is fantastic. And another thing that Brendan used to do, which you can always check in his old videos, is his income octopus. And he would do it at the end of the month, and you would see where all of his individual income streams came from, one of which was stock photography. Yeah, so he's a really cool guy. I think his latest videos are fascinating as well. He's in Nepal doing I think it's a 7-day trek through the foothills and mountains of Nepal. And he's doing it without having any sleep for 3 days. So he's getting a little bit delirious, which is pretty funny to watch. Right, well, I'm sure I've missed tons of websites and YouTube channels, but there's only so many hours in the day. And these are my kind of subscription ones that I go to on a daily basis just to check out what they're doing. If you like this video, please click gently on the like button and on the bell notification. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!